Hello everyone. I'm really unwell, so apologies for how I sound. I have a thought and I don't know how it's going to land, so I'm just going to go with it and hope that I get somewhere, and if I don't, that's fine. So I had this thought come to me a while ago actually, and I've been thinking about it occasionally, and I'm trying to unpick it in my head. And it's basically that having to be the best at something takes the fun out of it, or wanting to be the best, or striving to be the best, or, I don't know. And it's confusing because wanting to do better for yourself is something that is obviously a good thing. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently because obviously my podcast, I don't market myself, I don't promote myself, I don't try and blow up, I don't care really. And the reason I don't do that is because there was a period a few years ago where I was doing all those things and I felt like it lost its purpose. And I don't know, I was doing better. I monetized myself. I'm so sorry, I'm so unwell. I was, on paper and to everyone around me, doing really well, and it was going great. But I just, in myself, felt less connected to it. And then when I stopped doing all those things and just went back to the roots of what my podcast is, I felt so much more content, and I felt so much less pressure, and I felt and especially because, so for anyone that doesn't know, I don't script anything. I have certain episodes that I've researched things for, but for the most part, I think that's maybe 1 or 2 episodes, and they were my drum and bass episodes, some of my interviews. But apart from that, I don't do anything. I don't plan. I might for a few days think, I've got an inkling that I might want to discuss this, but I just wait for the moment to come where I feel like it's something that I'd want to talk about, and then I talk about it. I mean, I went through the whole thing. I bought microphones and I sold them all because I was with my podcasting, it just comes it's just an as and when thing, right? It's not to me, podcasting has become this conglomerate success story marketing ploy, and it will never be that for me. This isn't to say that if randomly I blew up overnight, I wouldn't be grateful or I wouldn't be happy about it, but if an agency wanted to pick me up, but they in response wanted an hour's worth of content a week, I couldn't do that, because there's times I'll make 4 podcasts in one day, and then there's other times where I won't make a podcast for a month. It's I don't know, I feel that for me, my podcast and my speech and things that I talk about is if you're not spiritual, you're going to be what the fuck is she talking about? But for me, I feel it's divine, divinely guided. And I'm sorry, but I really don't think divinity goes with KPIs. I don't think divine timing can be tracked or can be assessed by metrics that we as humans have implemented, you know? I don't think that... I saw this thing once and it was so funny. It was like, it's funny how LinkedIn isn't on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And it was like, my higher self does not use LinkedIn, and like, I'm just so anti-corporate and like anti the system. And it's funny because I have so many finance bro friends and like corporate friends, and you know, people that are so polished in things that they do, and I'm never going to be that person. And I can do it for a while, you know, but it never feels authentic. And I think that's one of the reasons that I've actually carried on with this podcast. Like, I started making Moon Stories in 2020. So this is my 5th year of doing this. And I still love it the way that I did when I first started. And I'm not looking for anything anymore. Like, I'm just happy in the fact that I have a voice and can talk, because so many women don't have that, you know? So many women don't have the ability to be able to do what I do, which is just like speak about things to a platform of, I don't know, whether it's 10 people, whether it's 1 million, it doesn't matter. Like, I know I sound really like basic AI influencer right now, but I honestly really mean it. Like, I do think that speech and freedom of speech is something that us in the Western world really take for granted, and we really like don't utilize it as much as we should. And for me, being heard was always something that was a real struggle, and it was something that I didn't feel a lot growing up. And I think doing this has almost allowed me to like give my voice back to myself and do something for myself that, you know, even if I get 1 view, even if I get 0 views, it's just the being able to say it and, you know, no one's interrupting me. I can speak freely. I can, you know, people can choose to listen if they want to listen. And I remember when I started doing this, it was because I almost wanted people to take me more seriously. Like, I wanted to be seen as more than just what people thought of me. And it's funny because I obviously didn't really know what people thought of me. And it was kind of just an assumption that people thought I was this, like, vapid bitch. And I remember when I made my first podcast, like, published one, not Moon Stories, so many people that, like, I kind of knew of, but not really, were like, I didn't realise you were smart. And I was like, oh, yeah. And they were like, yeah, like, I'm so confused. And I was like, well, you know, there we have it. And I think at the start it was definitely more of an ego-driven thing. It was like I was trying to prove something to someone. And then I think when it started to take off and do better, I was still trying to prove something to people, you know. I could make something from this. I can make something of myself, and I am going to be a famous podcaster. And then, you know, I literally just gave up. Like, I was like, I can't do this. Like, not that I don't want that for myself, but I didn't want that for myself the way that it was going, because I feel like it was going from a place of, like, try-hardness, And I have podcasts about this, but I really don't think in life you should have to struggle through things. I think you should have to try, and I think it's important to know when to put in effort and do things and take action. But I think it's also important to understand alignment. And I think if you're trying hard at something and it's aligned for you, it will work. But if you're trying really hard for something and it's not aligned for you, no matter how hard you try, it's not going to work. It's like, trying to put two puzzle pieces together that don't fit. But this is the thing is, this is my philosophy is very much everything is predetermined, and what's for you can't miss you. That old chestnut. So I really think that when I was doing all these things, it was like, okay, I'm making money, I'm getting opportunities. This is cool, right? I'm meeting cool people, I'm doing cool things. But I was like, it feels wrong. Like, it was wrong. And also at the point when it was so weird. It was like the point where, like, for my podcast, I was doing the best at that point. I've never pulled numbers like that since. I was the most unhappy version of myself that I have been, I think, ever in my life. Like, this was, I want to say, maybe like anywhere between March to June, July 2022. I have never been so unhappy in my life. But, like, success-wise, I was doing really well, and I was probably on the pinnacle of, like, being able to break into some kind of industry. And I don't know what would have happened if I'd have just, like, ignored what was going on or how I was feeling. I think I probably would have burnt out or ended up in some kind of facility. I don't know. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And I know that I'm not the first person to talk about how, it's literally like a famous quote in Devil Wears Prada, like, when everything in your career starts going right, everything in your life starts falling apart. And I think for certain people that are very career-driven, and it's a specific industry that they're really, really passionate about, that can be perfect for them because, certain things have to fall apart, fall together in different ways. And if that's the life you want, your life falling apart might be for the best, and that could be what's right for you. But for me, my life is so valuable in the way that it was. My home life and my friends and my fucking commute to work, like, all those things. Like, I'm a very lucky person in the life that I have just been born into. And I think you can get carried away in opportunity and expectation and not realise what you have in front of you and how what you have in front of you is, exponentially better than what you could get. Because I think I don't really believe in gain as such. So if you've heard of vacuum theory, that's basically the principle that I'm working off of right now. My God, my throat is so sore. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to talk because it literally feels like talking into sandpaper. So vacuum theory basically is the idea that the only way I ever think about it is It's so silly. But the only way I ever think about it is of an actual vacuum, like a vacuum cleaner. And I know that's not the kind of vacuum that it's referencing, but it's just the way that my brain has comprehended it. And it's like, imagine a vacuum bag, right? And that bag can hold a certain weight, a certain amount of things. And you're the vacuum, and the vacuum bag is like your experiences or all the things in your life. So you're going along, sucking things up. And anyone that's like actually looked into this theory is going to be like, what the fuck are you on about? So you're sucking things up, and it's going to get to a point where the bag needs to be changed because it's too full. And this is where you have to kind of take some creative license. So life experience, right, is like you don't change the bag in this theory. It's like certain things have to be taken out to make room for new things. So that's why when you lose a friend or you lose a job or you lose something, you feel a sense of loss because it's left like an empty hole. But if you look at, okay, I heard this explained to me once in a really smart and intellectual way, and I don't think I'm about to explain it in a smart and intellectual way, but I'm going to do my best. If you look at particles, right, air particles, eventually they will fill a space. It's the same with life experiences. If you have a hole because something's left your life, over time something else will fill that space. And that is basically vacuum theory. You know, you will suck something else up. You will take up something new. You will do something else with your time. A perfect example of this is I deleted TikTok because I thought, I weighed up the pros and cons and I realised it wasn't bringing enough into my life in terms of what I was learning from it. I felt like it was doing more harm than good. So I deleted it. What did I take up instead? Plants vs. Zombies. And so it's just vacuum theory, you know. I got rid of one and I replaced it with something else. Like when people stop smoking and they start vaping, or, you know, it's very, very hard. And this is why a lot of people meditate, because it's very hard to stop doing something, especially something that you have an attachment to, like a person, you know, a relationship. Very hard to stop doing something and then just sit in that space. And I think this is why a lot of people, when they get out of a relationship, they just start seeing someone else straight away, or they get on the apps, or they, you know, whatever, because there's a void, you know. So it's like you want to fill that void as quick as possible. And I think that's very, very, very common. And it's almost like I don't know if you call it like a crutch. And I'm not saying that the people that you meet at the time of that void, those people aren't for you. That is not what I mean, like, at all. It's more of like it's weird because it's situational, you know. You could fill the void with someone that is just to fill the void, or that person that fills the void could end up being so significant in your life, and you'll never know until you do it. But I do think that it's like sitting in that period of nothingness is so weird, because even when you sit in that period of nothingness, something's going to happen. You're going to have thoughts, you're going to have feelings, you're going to have some kind of experience. And I don't know, I think it just helps to, you know, if you're looking at moving up or doing certain things, I kind of think a lot of people that, this might be kind of controversial, I don't know, but I think a lot of people that look to level up constantly aren't comfortable sitting in the void, because the void requires trust, and the void requires release of control, you know? And that was something that I used to really, really struggle with, was giving up control to just letting it be. And I think these people that are so success-driven, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, this is neutral, by the way, this is just an observation. People that are giving up, that are so determined to succeed, they will do whatever it takes. And that is a great trait to have, you know, ambition, being driven is great. But for my own personal philosophy, I want to trust and be guided. And I think that comes from sitting in the void and listening. And when you have nothing, that's when you receive your guidance, you know? So that's why I gave up. As silly as it sounds, I gave up and I stopped trying to win, because I feel like I wasn't appreciating all the ways in which I already have. And do you know what I realised the other day? When I wake up in the morning, first thing I think to myself is I do my 3 daily gratitudes. And I didn't realise the other day, and then I thought, I've conditioned myself to do my daily gratitudes. It's the first thing I do every morning without fail. Wake up, before I even open my eyes, I do my daily gratitudes, and I was so grateful. I was so grateful that I had managed to get to a point where subconsciously my natural state is gratitude, because how lucky to have had the time to condition myself that way. Like, what a treat that is. And I just, oh my God. I think I might have to end this in a minute. I just think that it's things like that that make my life so much more enjoyable, rather than, I don't know, like my view count. And like, don't get me wrong, I would love the opportunity to be successful and do this as a career, if that's what God had in store for me. And I don't like saying God, because I think it makes people think that I'm religious, and I'm not religious, but I don't adhere to a certain religion or ascribe to a certain religion, you know. But I do think that, you know, my path is like predestined. So if that's what's meant to be, I think it will be. And I don't think I should have to like formulate that for myself. But anyway, I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna end this now. Thank you. I'm sorry about my voice and my throat. Hopefully I'll be better next time. Love you guys.